A white bottle sits in a plastic tray under fluorescent light. The pharmacist scans a barcode. The screen answers with 3 numbers that do not match. 1 is the list price a manufacturer published for the molecule. 1 is the copayment the patient will cover with a card. 1 is the reimbursement the pharmacy expects from a company whose name does not appear on the insurance ID. That company is a pharmacy benefit manager. Health plans hire these firms to control prescription costs. Employers hire them. Labor funds hire them. Public programs hire them. The assignment, spoken in procurement language, is almost elegant. Assemble a pharmacy network, bargain with drug makers, steer utilization toward lower-cost products, keep a benefit from becoming a fire. Then the same firms occupy the pipes. Follow the claim. A rebate can move from a manufacturer to the manager weeks after the bottle leaves the building. A spread can open between what a plan is billed and what a pharmacy is paid. A pharmacy owned inside the same corporate family can receive the fill that an independent counter lost to a network rule. The register prints none of this.
The contradiction is simple enough for a non-expert. An intermediary retained as a cost control instrument can also earn from the opacity of the prices it was hired to discipline. Rebate negotiation, formulary control, spread pricing, pharmacy networks, and vertical integration place these managers between drug makers, insurers, pharmacies, and patients. Do not inflate that sentence into a cartoon. Staff analysis of this market uses qualified language about incentives and potential effects. Nothing in that analysis requires the claim that every contract raises every patient's price. The wound is colder. A small group of intermediaries can influence which medicines millions of Americans receive, which pharmacies fill them, and how the bill is carved among the parties who never stand in the same room. The mystery is not that health plans are careless. The mystery is why the hire remains rational once the hidden ledger is drawn in daylight. Watch the claim file, not the brand on the card. Pharmacy benefit managers did not enter American healthcare as hearing room symbols. They entered as clerks. In the late 1960s and through the 1970s, employer coverage thickened and outpatient drugs stopped being a purely cash side purchase. Someone had to process claims, contract a network of pharmacies, and turn a shoebox of receipts into a benefit design. Early managers looked like administrators with a directory and a discount pitch. Volume, they said, would buy a better price at the counter. The 1980s and 1990s rewrite the assignment. Managed care spreads. Formularies harden from informal preferred lists into instruments that can move market share from one molecule to another. Manufacturers learn that a preferred tier can outperform a sales call. Rebates, often calculated from a published list price and paid after the fill, become the currency of access. The clerical shop grows a second job. It can now threaten to bury a brand or elevate it, and that threat has a price. Medicare Part D, launched in 2006, pulls private drug benefit machinery into a federal program for tens of millions of older and disabled Americans.
Specialty medicines turn the formulary from a cholesterol spreadsheet into a gate in front of infusions and injectables. List prices climb in public view. Net prices, after concessions, live in contracts the counter never displays. By 2026, a patient can still believe the insurer and the pharmacy are the only institutions in the room. That belief is the blind spot. A 2024 Government Accountability Office review of selected states' regulation of pharmacy benefit managers writes the official job description without romance. These firms administer prescription drug benefits. They negotiate rebates. They affect drug pricing. They use pharmacy reimbursement arrangements, including spread pricing, in which a plan may be billed one amount while a pharmacy is paid another. The GAO pages are not a manifesto. They are a function states have spent years trying to bring into view. The statute pile is part of the record. Selected states enact disclosure rules so a plan or a regulator can inspect rebate flows. Some limit spread pricing in Medicaid-managed care or other public programs. Some experiment with duties that sound like loyalty obligations to a plan or to a state. Some target gag clauses that once kept a pharmacist from saying a cash price might undercut a copayment. Lawmakers do not draft those chapters as decoration. They draft them because the payment chain is hard to read from a parking lot, and because pharmacies, plans, and patients do not share one ledger. Then a second federal paper lands. In July 2024,
the Federal Trade Commission releases an interim staff report on prescription drug middlemen. Staff write that the 6 largest United States pharmacy benefit managers handled more than 90% of prescriptions in 2023. The report describes concentration. It describes vertical integration with insurers and pharmacies. It describes formulary influence. It describes effects on pharmacies. The paper is interim. It is staff work. It is not a final commission ruling on every contract in the country. Hold the 2 documents in one hand and the original hire in the other. The GAO record explains why a health plan still writes the vendor check. Drug benefits are administratively savage. Manufacturers will pay for access. A plan covering hundreds of thousands of lives cannot staff a molecule-by-molecule negotiation for every launch.
It buys a machine that already sits at that table. American prescription payment did not remain a 2-party sale. Manufacturers publish list prices. Managers negotiate concessions off those lists. Plans receive a share of rebates, or a thinner share, depending on how hard they bargained with their own vendor. Pharmacies are reimbursed on terms that may diverge from the amount billed to the plan. Patients face deductibles, co-payments, or co-insurance that can be calculated from a number that is not the net price anyone else paid. The historical error is to treat that complexity as fog that happened to roll in. Complexity is also how the product is built. From the clerical era to the 2023 concentration figures, the contradiction does not fade. It professionalizes in public. What most people miss is not a conspiracy. It is a professionalized split between the service a plan buys and the prices a patient never sees.
Follow the factions, not a founder myth. The manufacturer lives on a clock. A branded molecule has a protected interval. Then competitors arrive. During that interval, volume is oxygen. A formulary exclusion is a cliff. A preferred tier is a bridge. The rebate is the toll the manufacturer pays to keep patients from being steered to a rival or to a therapeutic alternative. A larger list can enlarge a percentage concession, while the published price stays loud. The health plan, and the employer or agency behind it, lives on a budget. Drug spend must be forecast. Claims must be paid on Tuesday. Someone must run prior authorization, step therapy, and a help desk. The plan also lives on optics. Rebate dollars that flow back can be shown as savings, used to offset premiums, or treated as a vendor performance trophy, depending on the contract the plan was sophisticated enough to extract. The pharmacy benefit manager lives on several possible meters: administrative fees for processing, a retained slice of manufacturer concessions, a spread between plan bill and pharmacy payment, where contracts still allow it, margin on mail order fulfillment. Margin on specialty fulfillment, where a single fill can dwarf a year of blood pressure scripts. Each meter is compatible with a story about savings. Each meter defines savings differently. A rebate-maximizing list can prefer a high-list brand that pays richly over a low-list product that pays little, even when the low-list product would have been cheaper at the counter. The independent pharmacy lives on reimbursement versus acquisition cost. If the adjudicated rate lands below what the wholesaler charged, the bottle is a loss leader with no leader attached. The pharmacist can decline the claim in some settings and watch the patient walk, or dispense and absorb the hit. Network participation is not a courtesy card. It is access to the lives the 6-firm gate already touched. Leave the network and the lot thins. Stay and the back room becomes a rate debate. Chain pharmacies have other rooms: a front of store, a clinic, sometimes their own bargaining muscle. Mail order and specialty pharmacies inside a vertically integrated family are not referees. They are contestants with a claim on the script.
When the preferred specialty vendor and the benefit manager share a parent, the fill can migrate without a patient ever comparing storefronts. The patient is the only party who swallows the product. The patient needs the prescribed therapy at a cost that does not force a skipped month. The patient does not sit in the rebate meeting. Coinsurance tied to a list-like number can make a discounted medicine feel like a second rent. A copayment on a preferred brand can undercut the cash price of a cheaper alternative, training the body to follow the tier, not the net. A few decisions carry clinical weight. Prefer this inhaler. Require failure on a cheaper drug before the prescribed one is covered. Designate one specialty pharmacy as the only door for an oncology product. Place a therapy on a tier that turns adherence into arithmetic. These are how a formulary moves share.
They are also how a person with a narrow therapeutic window receives a letter instead of a vial. Each faction is answering a meter the others cannot see. Contracts replace speeches at every table in the chain.
A claim arrives at 11:14 a.m. The prescriber has already chosen a molecule. The pharmacy has already counted the tablets. Now the file hits a switchboard that is not in the store. First valve, the formulary. Preferred, non-preferred, excluded, prior authorization, quantity limit, step therapy. The switchboard does not merely pay, it ranks. Ranking is how a manager turns a population into leverage. Leverage is how a manufacturer is brought to a concession table. Second valve, the manufacturer contract. In a common structure, money moves after the fact for placement and for share. Hit a share target, the percentage climbs. Lose exclusive preferred status, the money shrinks. Price protection terms can try to neutralize list price jumps. None of this needs a patient's signature. The patient already consumed the product the concession is priced on. Third valve, the plan contract. Traditional terms may let the manager retain a spread already defined. Pass-through terms may require claim-level visibility and a stated share of concessions in exchange for a more visible administrative fee. A plan with counsel can squeeze the traditional room. A plan buying a bundled national product may never meet the person who set the reimbursement schedule. Fourth valve, the pharmacy network. Participation means claims flow. Non-participation means the card fails. Limited networks and specialty-only doors can move a fill from a Main Street counter to a mail warehouse or to a pharmacy that shares a parent with the manager. The patient experiences this as a transfer, a phone call, a delay. The spreadsheet experiences it as channel mix. Fifth valve, vertical integration. When the manager, the insurer, the mail order bench, and the specialty bench sit in one family, the same fill can generate an administrative fee, a concession share, and a dispensing margin without crossing an open market. Staff at the Federal Trade Commission, in the interim report already cited, flag concentration and conflict concerns around that architecture. They write in the language of incentives and potential effects. Hear the qualification at full volume. That language does not establish that this morning's copayment rose because of this morning's contract. It does not convert staff analysis into a universal price verdict.
The cost control function already on the Government Accountability Office page remains the reason the hire exists. A credible threat to drop a brand can lower a net price. A network can trade volume for a rate. Utilization rules can push a cheaper therapeutic class. States wrote statutes because the same tools that bargain can also hide. The two federal records sit in tension rather than in a single headline. Watch a rebate-heavy ranking right now. A brand with a loud list price offers a deep concession for exclusive preferred status. A quieter product offers a smaller concession, or none. If the manager or the plan is scored on rebate dollars, the loud brand wins the rank. If the patient pays coinsurance as a percentage of a number near the list, the patient can pay more for the winning drug. If the pharmacy is paid on a different schedule, the pharmacy shortfall does not appear in the rebate trophy. 3 rational responses. 1 fill. Spread pricing, already named, turns political when the payer is a state. Medicaid managed care is where selected legislatures have been most willing to limit the gap or to force it into daylight. Commercial books are a patchwork.
Some employers now demand pass-through files and audit rights. Some still buy a trend guarantee and a pitch deck. A guarantee is not the same object as a net price. Closing a spread does not disarm formulary power. It only turns off 1 meter. At the independent counter, a rejection code is the climax that never makes television. The card fails. The technician calls a number. A voice asks for an override, a different quantity, a different pharmacy. Minutes become a patient's bus schedule. The store can fill at a loss. The patient can leave empty. The claim can be rerouted to a mail order bench the patient did not choose. Each outcome is an adjudication, not a speech. Vertical integration tightens in the present tense. Steering language in a plan design can look like quality control, cold chain handling, nurses on a phone line, adherence calls for an injectable. It can also look like capture. The fill cannot leave the family. Staff analysis treats that double face as a problem of incentives.
Pharmacies treat it as vanished volume. Integrated firms treat it as a continuum of care. They describe a structure in which the referee can own a team.
Manufacturers answer with their own ledger. They argue that published prices stay high because access is rented, and the rent is a concession. Plans answer that without a bargainer, they would face the list alone. Pharmacies answer that they are paid as if they were the fat in the chain, while concessions pool elsewhere. Dominoes move. A manufacturer defends a list price to fund a concession. A manager uses the concession to win or to score a book of business. A plan uses the score to hold a premium. A pharmacy compresses hours. A patient meets a prior authorization and a transfer. Each step is locally rational. The chain-wide number becomes harder to name. Every statute reaches one valve. The switchboard still has 5 desks. And then the file returns a paid claim. Green check, a bottle in a paper bag. The climax is not an explosion. It is only an adjudication. Leave the wound open. Do not stitch it closed. More files can enter a regulator's inbox without giving the person at the counter a single net number. Pass-through can silence one meter and leave ranking untouched. An interim staff report can map a narrow gate and still speak in potential effects, not in a universal verdict on every fill. The tension is not a missing villain. The tension is a cost control organ that is also a price-making organ, operating where millions of fills pass a narrow set of desks. The market does not resolve, it processes. The receipt is a thin document. It has always been a thin document. American Prescription Payment asked it to certify a chain it cannot see. Price is supposed to be a meeting between a buyer and a seller. In this market, it is a corridor of doors. Each door has a lock. Each lock has a keeper who is paid to turn it or not to turn it, according to a meter the next keeper may never read. An intermediary appears when a principal cannot cheaply perform the work. A health plan cannot staff every new molecule. A patient cannot bargain with a global manufacturer. A corner pharmacy cannot assemble a national formulary. The manager is a transaction cost answer. That is why the hire outlives hearings, statutes, and staff reports. Complexity pays a wage. The strange incentive arrives one lock later. Once the same organization can rank a drug, reimburse a store, and fill the script inside a sister pharmacy, the wage can be collected from several faces of one swallow. A concession can still be real. A network rate can still be a volume discount. A mail-order bench can still keep an injectable inside a proper temperature range. The mechanism does not require those facts to be false. It requires them to be incomplete. This is the genre of a price that will not sit still. The contracts become intelligible only when they are read together, and they are almost never read together by the person who takes the dose. The payment can be real on every side of a lock and still fail to produce one public figure. Taste that gap. Think of the fluorescent aisle at closing. Bottles face the glass. Claim files face a data center. A benefits consultant highlights a guaranteed trend line for a finance committee that will never see a MAC schedule. A state analyst opens a disclosure dump and meets a forest of product codes. A manufacturer or accountant books a concession on a unit already consumed. The aisle goes dark. The corridor stays lit. 4 honest professionals can give 4 honest figures for the same bottle, and none of them is lying. Published list. Net after concession. Amount billed to a plan. Amount paid to a pharmacy. Add the copayment and the pile grows. The public argument keeps hunting for the one true number. The chain is built to have several. Official paper already taught the split without resolving it. One record describes a cost control organ worth hiring and worth regulating. The other describes a concentrated, vertically integrated organ whose incentives can pull against a pharmacy, a rival drug, or a patient's coinsurance. Qualified language is not timidity, it is accuracy. Potential effects are not the same object as a measured harm in every household. The principle that belongs here is colder than outrage. Markets grow specialists to hold levers that amateurs cannot lift. Specialists grow meters. Meters grow defenses. Defenses grow statutes. Statutes grow files. Files do not automatically grow a single public price. Anyone who asks for a thinner receipt is asking the corridor to become a room again. So leave the aisle, leave the PDFs, leave the green check. The bottle is small, the corridor is not. Stand in that corridor light. Do not ask the receipt to do theology. Ask it to name a door. If a medicine cannot move from a factory to a mouth without 5 contracts firing, which contract has earned the right to call itself the price?